TGIF, thank God it's Friday, and this is Breakfast Central. How are you living? How are you coping? No light. Well, you could say at the same time, fuel prices are still rising. But then again, it seems we have an equilibrium, maybe a little balanced out, but then Nigerians are still complaining. But guess what? We're also here to bring to you the latest stories amidst all the drama and every single thing from the BRT buses down to the defections from one political party to another political party. So all of these things we do have lined up for you, but don't take my word for it alone. I do have the team here. By the way, my name is Joe Hansen.
And my name is Olive Emodi. This is Breakfast Central. We're not defecting to the APC, I promise. So far, the numbers are currently reading about 85 senators ADC, 85 APC, 9 ADC, PDP 8, NNPP, NDC, and ABGA 1 each. Well, we will bring more details about these numbers, why they are moving from one party to another party, the very obvious party, and what the future is for Nigeria's lawmakers, as well as their political journey. You're welcome to the show. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Borough, welcoming you to the program wherever you're watching across the world, from Tokyo to Kano. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. This is where all the action happens. And thank God it's Friday. Even though it's Friday and we let our hair down, literally, that's what Olive is doing off camera. Wow. But we still have a lot of serious issues to go through in the political scene. So many things happening there. And of course, on the international scene. Trust us to bring you insightful analysis of all these big stories and more. And of course, we'll touch base with our correspondents across the country whenever you can to keep you updated on developments happening elsewhere. You're welcome once again from the Center of Aquatic Splendor. Lagos State, Center of Excellence, a place where many things happen.
Well, one of the main things that have happened in the Center of Excellence is the young girl who was harassed but has now brought about change. We'll come into talking about that shortly. But remember, we're streaming live on YouTube. News Central TV Live is the handle. Please join us via YouTube. Drop comments and let's get your thoughts, because we often go to YouTube to take comments as well. Gentlemen, how are you? How does it feel? Joe.
Good. Joe is looking...
How are you doing, fam?
Joe looks like he turned back the hands of time.
Joe is giving abroad.
Yes,
he's giving and preparing to go on holiday.
Yeah, I think I'm in the holiday mood already.
I can see that.
So I should actually start, going for holiday.
You haven't told us what you have this weekend.
Where do you plan to go for holiday?
Holiday.
Straight off Hormuz?
Rwanda is calling me, Rwanda.
I don't know why Olive is laughing.
How am I going to
people that are there, they know human beings.
By the way, they put the bombs there. I hope you know.
Mines. Yes.
Mines, rather. So anybody who has coconut head, you're waiting.
Should try it.
Should try it. And
even Donald Trump that said he was escorts. But by the way, I don't know what kind of world we live in now. Less than 100 days to the World Cup. Donald Trump said it's okay for the Iranian team to come, but if I was them, I won't come because of
their lives.
Threatening to kill sportsmen. And this was the man that Gianni Infantino gave a dubious FIFA Mickey Mouse Peace Prize.
Well, please don't disrespect his Nobel Peace Prize. That was
and he has a hand-me-down Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay, no, but Donald Trump is not the core of our conversation this morning. We're starting off here in Nigeria. We have enough on our hands. Strait of Hormuz is one, but we do have a lot. Nigeria's political scene appears to be witnessing yet another round of musical chairs. I mean, very interesting game we all played growing up, and we still have every opportunity we played. Now, no fewer than 9 senators on Thursday dumped their former parties to join the African Democratic Congress, signaling a fresh political shift within the National Assembly. The lawmakers include Ireti Kingigbe, representing the Federal Capital Territory, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal of Sokoto South, Binos Dauda Yaro of Adamawa South, Austin Akobondo of Abia Central, Eyinaya Abaribe of Abia South, Victor Ume of Anambra Central, Tony Nwunye of Anambra North, Lawal Adamu Usman of Kaduna Central, and Muhammad Ogoshi Onowu of Nasarawa South. Their letters of defection were read during plenary by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who welcomed them to their new political platform while dismissing claims that the ruling All Progressives Congress was responsible for the defections noting that lawmakers moved from different opposition parties, including the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, and the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. The development, which also comes amid reports of similar defections in the House of Representatives of Nigeria, highlights the continuing political realignment within the 10th National Assembly as parties grapple with internal crisis and shifting alliances. And the one in the House of Reps was very, very interesting and dramatic. At some point, when the Speaker would announce, then they would try to applaud and say, give him a round of applause. And then you hear them clapping. Then someone would say, please, please, no applause in plenary, no clapping in plenary.
Absolutely.
It just feels like a drama. It's giving Fuji House of commotion. But let's share clips from the Senate and the House of Reps, and then we'll come back to share our thoughts.
But submitted just a few minutes ago, and this one is from Senator Aminu Waziri Tamboa. Letter of defection from the People's Democratic Party. Oh, PDP is gone. Letter of defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the West African Democratic Congress. African Democratic Congress.
SP, check very well. I think it's APC. It's not ADC. AP. Check very well.
I've checked. My eyes are still good. I think this is to the African Democratic Congress. It's almost it's almost a sister to APC. Effective from today, the persistent internal crisis, you now recognize it. The persistent internal crisis, leadership disagreements, litigations and divisions within the party at various levels have made it increasingly difficult for me to continue my active participation and commitment as a member of the People's Democratic Party. The ongoing conflicts have unfortunately weakened the unity and direction that once defined the party. Please accept this letter as a formal notice of my defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the African Democratic.
We have seen the reason you adduce is the basic reason that most of the people who have left PDP have adduced, and you like what the president is doing with APC, so you are welcome on board. I will list all the people who are doing the same, and then tomorrow at the end of the announcement, you will come and have a photograph with the presiding officer. You may now have your seat for now. We also want to announce that Honorable Uchenna Harris Okonkwo, is he here? Honorable Uchenna Harris Okonkwo is not here. The announcement will be made when he's in the house because he's also defecting. Clerk, please take notes. We'll announce it whenever he's in the house. We cannot announce in his absence. We have Right Honorable Barrister Kwamoti Beatrice Lowry, and it has to do with notice of political realignment from the PDP to the APC. If you're in the house, can you rise, please? Honorable Kwamoti. He's the chairman public petition. You are welcome to APC. Please sit down, and later on we'll invite you to the presiding officer. Yes, he deserves that hand clap. APC, you can clap for him. We have another defection letter that is coming from Honorable Peter Ifeanyi Uzokwe. Honorable Peter Ifeanyi Uzokwe, if you're in the house, can you rise? Good. Mr. Ifeanyi is defecting from YPP to ADC. He is notifying the House. The House is hereby notified. There is also a notification of resignation from Labour Party and a movement into the ADC. And this is coming from Honorable Shei Sowumi. Is Honorable Shei Sowumi here? He's not here. We'll announce when he's around. Clerk, please take note. Is Honorable Dr. Medala Osman Bellamy in the house? Yeah, Honorable Osman is resigning publicly and confidently and courageously from PDP to APC. You are welcome to the largest party in the black race. We have notification of...
Well, there you have it. The senators are actually engaging in the rigmarole or the movement, the transfer window, like we used to call it here, the political transfer window, where they're moving from one political party to another. It's now obvious, and I don't know if anyone agrees. If you don't, please feel free to drop a comment. We can rightly say that the PDP has reached, we won't want to say an end,
decline.
but PDP
On the way to.
has hit the rock bottom, because every single person in the PDP is leaving, and it's quite obvious why it's so. The reason is because the electoral amendment that has been made, the electoral laws, now state that you cannot belong to two political parties, and then remember that there's a deadline. There's a deadline in which you would have to move right before the primaries begin. So it's only safe to say that while the PDP is busy fighting each other, and it doesn't seem like they have headway, they're making headway, because remember the Court of Appeal also upheld the judgment that the convention that they held, was null and invalid. So what that simply means is the PDP is faced with major crisis, even though the FCT minister has come out to say, listen, he wants them to sit together and let them solve the issues amicably. However, he is saying that the PDP, in quotes, in a reversal statement, that his support is for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which means the PDP cannot have a candidate for the 2027 election. So these movements can be justified, especially from PDP to the
Is he
APC.
speaking on a personal note or speaking on behalf of the party when it says the PDP cannot field a candidate?
That's where the fight comes in, and that's where everybody's saying, well, you could speak, but you can't speak collectively for the party. You can't speak as a collective body. That's an individual. Therefore, whatever you choose must be brought to the table. But being as it stands now, time is gone. Before the PDP would solve their issues, have their meetings. Don't forget, the Wike's camp are having their own convention in March. So that convention, the question is who will attend. With all these laws and all these movements, it's critical to show that there's a paradigm shift in the PDP, and a lot is happening.
And more will still be expected.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think this is all. For example, I mean...
Local governments,
yeah.
maybe.
So...
No, even in the House of Reps.
Yeah, so what is happening?
There's still members of PDP that are there. I didn't see... A name is conspicuously absent. Honorable Abdusamad Dasuki. He's a member of the PDP. I don't know why he's still there looking at...
Okay, so we should give him time. Maybe he's still consulting.
Or maybe he doesn't want to return to the House. I don't know.
So what is happening, like, both of you have rightly mentioned, this political transfer season, and a lot of conversations have obviously happened behind the scenes. Promises have been made. People are... I think what's particularly interesting is the fact that both of these movements happened within 48 hours in the two different houses, right? We're seeing the Red Chamber, they're having their own announcement of defections, even though the defections announced in the Red Chamber seemed to favor the ADC, but in the Green Chamber, majority of it favored the APC. Again, goes back to the conversation about the PDP. And as much as you may not agree with what he said, Wike, in terms of PDP not fielding a candidate, it may sound very, oh, he doesn't have the right to say that. But is he not saying the truth? What is the... you may not like or agree with Wike, but what is the probability of PDP fielding a candidate before January 2027?
I mean, if they do a convention and everyone is happy, anyone can throw their hat in the ring. It doesn't guarantee you winning the presidential elections, but at least field, that's why you're a political party. And you've held sway at the top level for 16 years. So it's not for him to decide whether they should.
So while I agree with you that it's not for him to decide, but the PDP has been weakened so fundamentally that it will take a lot of miracle for them right now to recuperate in preparation for 2027. I do not see PDP putting their act together for presidency. They can, I think the first place to start, they should start winning their lawmakers over. But a lot of them have moved, so I don't know what the next steps will be for PDP. Maybe it will be looking towards 2018, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2021, and just to move on from 2017.
Honorable Abdul Samad Dasuki said he won't be seeking re-election. A lot of you might remember him for blowing the whistle on the gazetted tax law.
Yeah.
So he said he's leaving the stage for younger people. I mean, he's also a very young.
He's a young person.
I applaud him.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what Nigerians are saying about it. We'll start from YouTube, and then we'll head to X. On YouTube, good morning, Moki Chukwemeka. He says, political transfer season, Wike and Atiku killed the PDP with their greed. Sad one for the PDP. That's what Moki Chukwemeka said.
He's right.
And
He's
he is
spot on.
correct. You know, they've killed the... It looks like a battle of ego, a battle of...
One person was not supposed to contest, and because he did, it angered the second person, and the second person said, you know
No,
what, I'll take my
so
revenge.
there have been different analyses. There are some people that would say that Wike wanted to run, but even if he wasn't running, he was hoping that he would align himself with Atiku. And because Atiku did not select Wike to run with him, so therefore, Wike
And then
has now
the
considered him prime enemy.
unwritten law that, I mean, how can you want to contest after 8 years of a Buhari presidency from the north? That's where the shenanigans started.
And then Wike now starts...
Elijah took her back.
So the
In all
response to that-
fairness, shouldn't have thrown his...
But the response
in
to
the
that, you know, the Atiku supporters will say, if Atiku had selected Wike as his vice,
He wouldn't
would
have
Wike
it.
have brought up that opposition?
But Wike should even be thankful, because if he was selected as vice, he won't have this opportunity. In this government, you think he will still be FCT minister?
You'll be surprised. Many things
we
happen in
can't say,
politics.
because even the Senate president, Senator
Please, you need to
Natasha
answer this question.
was running for presidency as well, but now he's the Senate
I agree with you
I need
guys.
to read
And
the
that's why
question here.
Aifele sang many people.
No, that's Adekunle Gold now, the latest version.
Okay, me, I'm old school now.
Sorry, me and you are not in the same generation.
And I'm boycotting Simi because
Prince
of what she
Omev,
did.
Prince Omev says, why is the seat always empty? Good question you've asked there. You ask them. Let's head to X now and see what Nigerians are saying about this via the tweets.
Well, the X there says, everyone is abandoning PDP. Although the ADC is gaining a bit of momentum, it is still far too little compared to the gargantuan momentum of the ruling ADC. Reminds me of that,
Gargantuan momentum.
remember that, Senator? Gargantuan gaga.
Where is he these days?
Now, let's see another one. The culture of jumping from one party to another is exactly why many citizens are losing trust in politics. That's what Idris says. Another one says, The Chosen, why should the Senate give someone time to reconsider his defection? Is there no more freedom of association in the CFRN? Let his party do the next thing. All right. Mass defection in the House of Reps as 12 members defected to the APC
Is that
and
mass?
ADC in equal split, 6 each. Surprisingly, he says surprisingly, the Deputy Speaker chaired the APC members to clap for the defectees. Isn't he aware that it's against House rules for members to clap while in session? You know, that's the angle we're also going to look at. We've said it before. We don't really understand the current House of Reps. We don't really know what's going on. Well, time is not on their side. I love the new electoral law. That's what Jacob says. But let's talk about the chairing. The rules, as mentioned in the book, you are not allowed to clap. You're not. It's not a because you have a.
You're there for serious business.
You have a mixture of different political parties.
But you know, it's not surprising because this is the same house that when the
mandate,
president
right?
comes, when president comes to present budget, they will all stand up and be singing on your mandate we shall stand. They don't run it like a house that has different political parties. And as a speaker,
people,
you may
culture,
belong to one political party, but in the moment where you're sitting as speaker, you're not representing your political party, you're representing the interest of the Nigerians first that voted you in as lawmaker, and you know the people, because you're first among equals. You're there to represent all of them, not your political party. See, when Speaker of House of Rep was saying, you know, APC, please give him a round of applause. What was that?
Is this an
what was that
event?
show?
Is
that
that
a charade? Are we joking here? On YouTube, Prince Ajibade says, Atiku is a selfish and greedy person. Someone should ask him what his plans were when he left the PDP in 2014 for the APC. Wike held that party and the same Atiku returned to destroy it. DJ says, I'm surprised that one of our male panelists think that zoning is good for our politics. Is it you people? Is any of you that
I really
thinks
don't
that
know
zoning?
who thinks.
DJ says zoning is...
Okay.
I mentioned,
You mentioned
that
it.
in
What
fairness, after an 8-year presidency of Buhari, that the
yes,
gentlemanly agreement is that the presidency should move to the south.
So DJ says zoning is divisive and discriminatory. So the question now is, I understand what he's saying, but I also understand those who argue for zoning. Because it's just like when we say we want more women to be represented in politics. And then they say, but we have 4 women as lawmakers, and the question is, are there not more women that can do this? If we keep saying more women, like we need more men to throw their weight behind women so that they can be able to, because the system currently is not set up to encourage a lot of them to show up. So if we say, those, who argue for zoning, part of the argument will be that if you do not zone, some people will never get chance at power in this life. In this Nigeria, for example, there's some ethnic groups that will never get a chance.
The fact that Goodluck Jonathan was president happened just because of, it was luck, pure luck and
That's
circumstance.
why his name is Goodluck.
Yeah. If former President Yar'Adua didn't pass, I don't think he would have been president. So that's why people say, to be fair, let's zone.
Because the truth is, you can't, if you look at the different zones, there are definitely people that can perform that role. If, for example, you're saying, this year, the different geopolitical zones, this particular position goes round, everybody then has an equal opportunity to participate, to contest. And when it's not possible that you tell me that in the whole of that zone, you can't see one person to fill in that role. I understand those who push for zoning, because at the end of the day, it's more like is equity, right? Maybe not equality, equity. And equity, for my idea of equity, I'd seen this explanation somewhere, and it stuck with me. If all 3 of us are standing and trying to watch a show, and there's somebody who's maybe living with dwarfism, and the person can't see, all of us may be here. It may look like we all have equal opportunities, but what will be fair, what equity will mean, would be that we put a platform for this person who's living with dwarfism to be able to have the same eye line, the same sight line that all of us have here. I would believe that that is what the argument for zoning, presents. It's just like giving everybody an equal opportunity at leadership. I'll take a few more comments on YouTube, and then we'll head to our next story. Still on zoning, Prince Ajibade says, zoning is not divisive. It's healthy for the kind of democracy we practice right now. Absolutely. And because we are multi-ethnic people. Regarding the senators, he also says, I think there should be penalties for senators and House members that don't come for plenaries. Just 3 to 4 days in a week, they still won't show up. What are they being paid hugely for? Rather.
No, but some of them have to go back to their constituencies for constituency assignment. Right. So they might still be doing their job, but they're away from.
But the question is, why is it always empty? Final questions. Zoning is not a comment, rather. Mokwe Chukwemeka says, zoning is not a bad idea. It gives opportunity for other zones to lead the country so as to carry everybody along.
Thank you, Mokwe Chukwemeka. Great minds think alike.
It is about alignment. Have you, Tyrone Lannister? Tyrion Lannister, Game of Thrones, I believe.
You were mentioning something. So
yeah. Let's move to our next story. And a young woman in Lagos raised an alarm after alleging that she was harassed for speaking out about the scarcity of buses in the city's bus rapid transit system, popularly known as BRT. The woman had taken to social media to call out the Lagos state government over the non-availability of buses on the Lagos BRT corridors, saying many commuters were often left stranded at terminals for hours. According to her, the situation took a troubling turn after she claimed she was confronted and threatened for voicing her frustration, a development that quickly sparked reactions online, with several Lagos residents sharing similar experiences and urging authorities to urgently address the challenges affecting the state's mass transit system. In a related development, the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, has announced that there's been an addition of between 15 and 25 new buses to the BRT fleet to improve operations and ease transportation difficulties across the state. Coming shortly after the viral videos by this content creator identified as Ella, it drew widespread attention to the shortage of buses and the struggles faced by commuters trying to move around the city to earn a living. Right here is the response by LAMATA to the trending videos. But let's now take a look at the video that she made, as well as the one where she celebrated, and then we'll come back to share her thoughts. But please go ahead on YouTube and drop your comments.
5 p.m. Let me show you a bit of my situation.
She love me, but she learned that trust me. She don't look at fresh. All this snap, all this and all this.
This is my situation.
She love me, but trust me. She love me, but she learned that.
Good morning, guys. Today is Tuesday. Another day to show you a bit of my situation. Sorry. Excuse. A lot of people have been here before 6 a.m., as you know. So
don't make any video today. If you want to do content creator, go to garage. Go to garage. I'm telling you, if you make any video today, I will see your phone. I'm not talking. I'm not talking though. If you make any video today, I'm not talking.
she said you use my phone. No. Ha. Why you holding my bag? Why you holding my bag? Why you holding my bag? Take your video. Take your video. What do you video? I will make my video. There's no boss and you don't want me to make video. Do the video. I'm not going to get it. Don't push me. Don't leave her alone. Go to that. I don't understand. Go to that. Force me now. Go to We entered the bus by 9 a.m. So currently, I'm just heading to 9. We waited for more than 3 hours. You get? That is how bad I was standing with my heavy bag. But it's fine, it's fine. Don't worry. Thank you so much. God, you guys support me. Thank you.
My voice was hard. Hey, this voice that has finished cracking, it did not crack for nothing. I thank you, Jesus. See that lane I use every morning. When I passed it today, I was surprised. I saw buses lined up. I did not do it alone. We did it together. Before I continue, I booked an Uber. I did not book an Uber because I have backed down. No, yesterday was a whole lot. I received a lot of threats from here and here. It started from when the woman harassed me, you know, the man, everybody. People texted me that they want to gang up and beat me up. A lot of threats. And I'm not joking. My friends, my mom, they told me that today you must not use BRT. It was an order that I could not disobey. And I really want to say a big thank you to Mr. Care.
Yo, Ella, what's up? Our champion. Nice one. Thank you so much for standing your ground.
He created a GoFundMe for my Uber. Like, I never expected any of that. I never expected any of those kind messages, love and support from you Nigerians. I am so grateful. And yesterday, I got a call from the Commissioner for Information.
There's no need for riding together, sir.
No, if they are against you and they are trying to harass you, maybe they think they are defending the government. Now, when they see the government beside you, they will know that you have not done anything wrong.
Told me that buses would be provided. Oh my God, I did not speak up for nothing. I stood my ground. Everything started because the suffering was too much. Me personally, I'm a videographer and content creator. When I get to the office, I will still stand. Really hope they keep to the fact that they will provide buses. Because if they don't, I will make more videos. And if it's about blowing out people's faces, there is no problem. I'll blow it out. As far as I'm passing out my message, as far as my voice is going to be heard, I am going to continue. So don't think I've given up.
Well, I must mention to you that Ella will be joining us on the show this morning, and then we can hear her journey. But that story has evolved, and many concerns have been raised. First of all, I think if nothing else, it shows the strength of social media, the power of citizen journalism, and how it just takes one person to be angry enough to make a change, to demand for the change. There are two sides to look at it from. On the one side, you say, okay, it's great that she did that and that the government responded. But then again, the analysts and critics who would say, is this not telling of a government that responds faster to embarrassment than it does to suffering? Because if that wasn't pointed out, would they have done anything about it? And then for citizens, again, there's the angle of she was fighting for you. At the end of the day, everyone at that garage is going to benefit from that. How do you come to the bus stop, rather, and you get there for 6 a.m. and you don't get into the bus to 9 a.m.? The quality of life we live in Nigeria is enough to...
And you don't want her to speak up.
And you don't want her to speak up. There's also the angle of digital responsibility on her part. Those who have argued that they wouldn't want to see their faces in a video, regardless of what the cause is. So maybe this is where we'll then say to content creators, when someone has expressed displeasure, blur their faces. You know, you can show the form and
or
the
show yourself.
You know, no, she was showing herself. She wasn't actually filming other people, so blur their faces. But we'll have Ella, who's, it would seem her life and her career have taken a dramatic turn for positive, and that the government has responded. But I'll take a few comments on YouTube. We'll take a few comments from X and call it a day for wake-up conversations. Someone says, you can do your video. Prince Ajibade says, you can do your video without having my face or people's faces in it. I think it's disrespectful to have people's faces in your videos that didn't ask for it. I may be wrong. And then we also have here, Mokunye Chukwuemeka said, one thing that was too concerning about Ella's video is how others tried to talk her down for fighting for them. Nigerians are not going to liberate themselves anytime soon. And how people will love suffering and smiling so... And how people will have to, okay, I can't see the remaining part. Okay, how people will defend the government's ineptitude rather than condemning it. Just one voice brought improved service to that route. Just imagine all of us unite and ask the government questions. Things must change. Mokunye Chukwuemeka said I should mentor Ella. And I think the final comment I will take from here, Joe, is you that they're asking, someone has thrown shade at you. And Chinedu Brown said, this one that Joe is wearing the same uniform with Iranian president.
Bro, that's why I mentioned Strait of Hormuz.
Please,
for your holiday destination. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, I mean, looking at the time, I mean, the train services, kudos to Lamata, they leave on time, they're bang on time. And it would be nice if the buses, if you can tell that the buses will get here at a specific time. Because I was going to say, if you're a news anchor and you're waiting for BRT services,
you go and wait for a long time.
You miss your show every day.
Well, let's just mention that we have the privilege of having a representative from Lamata join us again today.
So we're having Ella and we're having a representative from Lamata. But let's take what Nigerians are saying on X as well. First tweet from the story, it says, let her keep taking Uber. The BRT is for people who are less privileged.
Calm down, that's a lie.
Even though the elites will use this as a campaign point and celebrate her, but the truth still remains.
What kind of statement?
Whenever you are making a video, please keep privacy in mind, blur the people's face before uploading the video on social media. I'm expecting more insults, but the truth is we can do better as content creators. Instead of always focusing on ourselves, ask people questions. Let us hear from them. Use your social media as a platform for feedback. Omobola or don't.
Very elitist garbage. How do you say BRT is for less privileged?
I don't understand.
I don't know. He needs to, maybe he travels out or maybe he doesn't. If you travel, you understand.
Exactly.
Since nobody wants to tell her the truth, I will tell her, how do people behave on this social media?
Cloud chase.
Says she's a cloud chaser. She started first as I'm trying to kill my social anxiety. So she wakes up early in the morning and carry her phone to film people who are in queue unprovoked. She did the first one. People laughed and applauded her for beating social anxiety. She continued doing it, and a lot of people started getting calls that they saw them in a video queuing for BRT. Some people who saw themselves in her video told her to blur their faces next time, but she turned deaf ears because she's getting the TikTok engagements already. It's no longer about beating social anxiety anymore. So she turned it to I'm fighting the government. When people started complaining too much about seeing themselves on someone's video on TikTok, there are better ways to protest to the government. Why will I just wake up one morning and see my face on TikTok? It's wrong, and there are better ways to do things. Well, like we say, two truths can coexist. You can advocate for a different way or a more guarded way for social activism, but also you can't talk down on the fact that what she did has definitely been.
Can't you go and walk?
And at the end of the day, those people who, the woman who laid hands on her had no right to do what she did. You had no right to lay hands on her or to threaten her or seize her phone. If you have an issue with her, if you can take her to court. There are more logical ways to go around this. And I think beyond even the people that attacked them is all the other people who kept silence. All the people who kept silent.
We'll talk more about it.
We'll talk more about it when
Brilliant take. I mean, if I wasn't so old, I would have asked you to mentor me. Is it too late?
It's not too late. I'll mentor you, my mentee. Let's share with you what our top stories are this morning. This morning on Breakfast Central, Afenifere slams 2026 Electoral Act over forged certificates and the adjustment has been made daring. Opposition lawmakers dump PDP Labour Party for ADC in National Assembly. We'll also be exploring outrage as male senator replaces Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for UN Women Forum. And then the FCT minister gives terms for resolution of PDP party crisis. And we'll also be reviewing the front pages of the newspaper. This is the point where we open the phone lines and allow you call in. Thank you. Stay tuned for all these and more.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. A fresh debate has emerged over Nigeria's electoral laws after the Pan-Yoruba social organization Afenifere criticized recent provisions in the Electoral Act, warning that the changes could weaken safeguards in the country's democratic process. The group expressed concern that the current version of the law no longer recognizes certificate forgery as a ground for challenging a candidate's qualifications in election petitions. A move, it says, could shield individuals with questionable academic credentials from scrutiny.
According to Afenifere, the removal of that provision contradicts sections of the 1999 Constitution, which clearly states that any candidate who presents a forged certificate should be disqualified from holding public office. The organization also raised concerns about new penalties introduced in the Act that could impose heavy fines on petitioners and their lawyers if election cases are filed on grounds not specifically recognized by the law. Critics argue that such measures could discourage legitimate legal challenges to election outcomes. To help us understand what happens where we see this conflict of laws, we're joined by legal practitioner Evan Sufeli. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Before we get into the spirit, before we get into which law should prevail, where there is a conflict, let's talk about the spirit of the law. Do you see the spirit of this amendment to the our electoral laws and the reform that this has, the reform that this is? Do you see the spirit behind it?
Well, the reform they claimed they were going to effect in the Electoral Act, they ended up convoluting the entire process by bringing in issues that are not sacrosanct, they are not expedient. Even the electronic transmission they talked about, they worsened the case because right now everything is going to be dependent on the human element. Okay, when they claim that there's a problem with network, nobody can question it any longer. And as to the amendments that just happened, that seem to have taken away one of the grounds upon which you can challenge the outcome of an election, that one too, that amendment, surreptitious coding or taking away of that certificate forgery, removing it as a ground for contesting the outcome of an election or the qualification of a candidate, removed from the Electoral Act makes no difference. As long as it's in the Constitution supersedes and overrides the Electoral Act. So as long as it's a ground in the Constitution, if you like, take the Electoral Act, take it to anywhere, you pull everything out, it makes no difference. It's a constitutional matter, and a constitutional matter will always be dealt with as a constitutional matter. And that is what makes the difference. Politicians in Nigeria hardly have results. Many of them, you see, they are forged certificates. Little wonder they cannot make any law to take one Nigerian out of poverty, one person. They are not able to make any law to take one citizen out of poverty. So people who have academic, intellectual, and qualification, you can see the measure of that in their decision making. You will see the measure of that in their conduct, their outcome, their ideas. Okay, you will see that. You see that in the spirit of the laws they enact and the expediency thereof. You will see that. But in the case on that reference, we've not seen any, especially the 10th Assembly. This 10th Assembly is looking for legislative ways to take Nigeria backward. Okay, and that is why you saw the reform they talked about, how they went about it. If not for the public outcry and the way Nigerians went about it, took it very personal and emotional, they wouldn't have called for that meeting, that emergency a meeting they called for, wherein they now passed and convoluted the electronic whatever. And they've left it in the mercy of network. So network that can easily be, manipulated by human elements will now become the driving force, will now become the omniscient central rallying point that will determine elections in Nigeria. And so they can still put their hands on the plow and look back because they are not fit for the kingdom. So the Senate president himself, who was rewarded and made a Senate president that did not contest election, what else do you expect from him? To give you a sound law that will put him out of control, and the rest of them and all that. So the 10th Assembly is a whole lot of disappointment, to say the least. We've never had the National Assembly this bad in our history. We've never had it this bad. It's the assembly that have no tact. They don't care about what the people feel. They don't care about what representation should be, what it should mean to the people. And that parliament is critical. They don't care about that. So they are just at the mercy of the president, worshiping the president, singing for the president, and doing all sorts, having this unholy alliance with the executive, which is a dangerous thing to do under democracy. We should see robust check and balances, in separation of power under democracy. And that we're not seeing it is most unfortunate, to say the least.
Well, what about the case of former Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Nnaji? We did see the forgery that was unveiled, a forged certificate from UNN, and how it led to his resignation. There seems to be a back and forth in that particular case, because right now you do have administrative arm of the UNN saying they are going to find those who had forged that certificate and handed it over to the former minister. But there seems to be quiet and peace from the security or men from the police force, who normally should follow the law of the Constitution, or the Constitution rather, to ensure that he's invited and could also lead to arrest. Can you share with us how politics is aiding or not aiding Nigeria's Constitution to flourish?
Well, you see, the politicians have almost destroyed everything in this country. And because they do a lot of things to make sure that they clinch political office, either by crook or by hook. In the case on that reference, the school, University of Nigeria and Nsukka, said they did not issue the certificate. They did not issue the certificate. That's what they said. Okay. Meaning that if that man is holding that certificate, the certificate came from somewhere else. And if the school did not issue it, wherever it came from, it cannot be valid. It cannot be original. Okay. It must be fake. Okay. By now, if we're a serious country, that man should be going through trial. Okay. So that it can serve as deterrence to others. But no, what you have is he's gallivanting all over the place, and they are playing politics with that very serious offense. Okay, and so you have that in our history, in our political space, and that is why the wisdom of the Constitution, it became a ground for disqualification. Even the Electoral Act before now, it became a ground for. Because, whoever forges a certificate to contest election cannot get into office and do anything meaningful. Because he's morally deficient. He's fighting against a moral deficiency or deficit that cannot produce anything good. Okay, there are people who took their time, went through all the rigors of academics, passed through the four walls of schools to be able to get certifications. And those are the ones that cannot even clinch victory at the polls. Because, of course, they cannot undertake what these other persons will do. The ones that dropped out, the ones that couldn't finish, didn't have the discipline to stay through the process, are the ones who are now leading those who, you can see it even in our elections. When these people that forge the results, when election is conducted, it is professors that count the vote. It is professors that they use as returning officers, okay, to help illiterates to count the ballots and put it together. Nigeria is a convoluted system. The day merit will start to mean anything, that is the day Nigeria will change. The day merit will start to mean anything to us. Because merit does not mean anything to us. All people are concerned with is wealth, how to get money, how to swindle, how to cut corners, how to make sure the next person is swindled and all that. So we're not getting anywhere with that. Okay? You can imagine the police. They're supposed to have concluded investigation and start prosecution. Nothing is being done about it. Look at the case of BRT, do not just this one. BRT, the issue of what do you call it? Corruption. Where is that case? And then to tell you that the APC government isn't ready for anything that will move Nigeria forward. They are not ready for it. And so what you have is a system that is working against itself.
Now, Barrister Ophelia, should they just have left this issue of certificate forgery for the Constitution to take care of it? By mentioning it, it might give some people some ideas that, you know, since I'm not going to be screened for presenting a fake certificate, at least I can cross this hurdle, and hopefully none of my opponents would know about this forgery, and therefore I can sit in office for as long as it takes. How does this, how would you interpret this in terms of the legal side of it? Are they, the spirit of making this law, is it to waste the court's time? Because why would you put this there in the first place if you know that the Constitution, if you know what the Constitution says about forgery? Could you break this, could you unpack this for us?
No, the Electoral Act is supposed to contain issues that determine qualifications and issues that determine a lack of qualification. Okay, so qualifications are supposed to be spelled out in the Electoral Act because it is the extant law that determines the elections. Okay, now the Constitution itself is a ground norm. Okay, the Constitution can play around any side. The Constitution can spread to any point, okay, as a foundation. But the extant law itself, which is the Electoral Act, ought to spell out what should amount to qualification and disqualification. Okay, so it's not a bad thing that you have it in the Electoral Act. You're supposed to have it there. But to now have an assembly, a 10th assembly, that would disgracefully and shamefully look for a way to invent and manipulate and take something out and all that. That's not the only thing they took out. They took other things out, a lot of Nigerians are not aware of, which have been found out, you know, in the course of time. Okay. So, and they are doing this just to meet selfish end, to meet an end that is inglorious. Okay? It's supposed to be there. Okay, and now you are mentioning it, you are taking it out, you are taking it in, you are making a mess of the entire system. But the truth is that whether they take it on or out of the Electoral Act, as long as it's the Constitution, it makes no difference because the Constitution will still be cited in election petition. So if you are not qualified by virtue of forgery and the rest of that, you are still going to be caught by the web of the Constitution and will be treated accordingly. And the court should have zero tolerance for this issue of certificate forgery. This is one case too many, you know, in our political history. And that is to tell you that these guys, politicians, are just out there for what they can get. Who are you going to represent with a forged certificate? You are representing the whole constituency with a forged certificate. How shameful can that be? How shameful can you be? How disgraceful can you be? Can you know, take all that? What really does that amount? What does it mean? You know, to take the allegiance of a constituency with a forged certificate a representation. So if politicians have shame, they will not even do this. So the fact that people do it is to tell you that this whole thing about politics looks like a game of survival in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing that, and it's very interesting. Typically, you would expect that lawmakers will push for anything that would ensure that there's clarity, there's transparency, and nothing is shrouded in secrecy or multiple interpretations. But overtly now stating that it's okay, forgery is not a ground. Again, I still don't understand the spirit behind that amendment. But I want to segue to a slightly different matter, which is still within the amendment of our electoral laws. They're pushing for the criminalization of being a member of dual political parties to the tune of 10 million naira bail, 10 million naira fine, rather, or 2 years imprisonment. I want to get your thoughts on that amendment.
Yeah, it's one amendment that they cannot enforce. I mean, most of the criminal angle to our electoral matters, the criminal angle to our electoral act, you don't really have prosecution. It's EFCC that started prosecution not too long ago. Police have never prosecuted anything, even vote buying, even ballot box snatching and the rest of that. They just arrest suspect for a few days and they release them thereafter. Okay. But you see this area of criminalize this, don't be in two political parties or whatever and all that. Because it's going to, for you to say someone belongs to two political parties, it calls for a lot. For how are you going to prove it in court? You have to present the person's registration in the two political parties. His membership, you have to establish his membership in the two political parties. That's the truth. If you take a suspect, you want to prosecute a suspect, you must show that truly, not just that you allege that he belongs to two political parties. You must show the card, the party registration of that particular person in two political parties, that you did not resign from one before you joined the other. And then you're able to establish and prove that. But what you see that in our electoral act, if it's not about who has won or who has lost election, every other thing in our electoral act is dormant. Every other thing is dormant. You know that there's even fine for fine and imprisonment for campaigning before election, before the ban is lifted. You know that. Okay, even the president of the country is guilty of that particular, has violated that particular section of the Electoral Act. Because the moment Tinubu got into power, the next week, they started printing posters for 2027 election. He has not completed one. The INEC has not lifted the ban. Since that time till now, they are still printing posters and pasting posters all over the place for his comeback. Okay? And so, but the Electoral Act says that if you do that, it's an offense. You have to serve a term of imprisonment and you have to pay fine. Okay, but you don't find that. That's why I'm saying that in our Electoral Act, if it's not about who has won or who has lost election, every other thing you criminalize or penalize is dormant. They can pass this law tomorrow, pass this one, pass that, and say, yes, if you belong to two political parties, if you are caught selling or buying votes, if you are act and all that put together. The truth is that the police that is meant to prosecute this person, on election day, they too are out there to make money. The police that is supposed to protect, on election day, they are out to make money. And whoever they release, the politician will come for them and free them. So when the country runs like this, when everything is by survival and money and hunger and just survive, it's difficult to tell what democracy will look like.
It means we have a serious challenge in our hands. We want to thank you so much, Barrister Felix, for joining us. We look forward to seeing what will come out of this one. And there's a case we hear that's currently ongoing on the ground that's got to do with a member of the Senate, a senior political personality. But we'll see if this case of forgery will come to light. It's still allegedly, but we'll wait to see. But you can trust us, we'll bring that story up here. Thanks for joining us, by the way, and sharing your thoughts on this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Well, let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central for the second hour. Second hour, Breakfast Central, opposition lawmakers dump PDP LP for ADC. We'll look at that. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan replaced at UN Forum. And Senate defection saga. There's so much to talk about this, so do well to stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The Nigerian Senate was thrown into a rowdy session on Thursday following a massive wave of defections that saw prominent opposition lawmakers, including former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal and Senator Ainaya Abaribe, join the African Democratic Congress, ADC. The mass movement involving 8 senators from the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party and APGA sparked immediate constitutional debate on the floor. While the defectors cited internal party crisis, the Senate leadership, led by Deputy President Barau Jibrin, sharply contested the legality of the moves, particularly focusing on Senator Abaribe's exit from APGA, a party the Senate insists has no known division.
Tensions peaked when the Senate leadership suggested that Abaribe could lose his seat under Section 68 of the 1999 Constitution, which mandates that a lawmaker must vacate their seat if they defect without a clear national division in their sponsoring party. The Senate was not only in the spotlight as opposition lawmakers in the House of Representatives were also affected. Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu announced the defection of 12 lawmakers, while 6 members officially announced their defection from the PDP to the APC. 6 members also officially announced the defections from YPP and Labour Party to the ADC. Let's take a look.
A letter of address to the President of the Senate and dated yesterday, but submitted just a few minutes ago. And this one is from Senator Aminu Tambuwal. Letter of defection from the People's Democratic Party. Oh, PDP is gone. Letter of defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP to the West African Democratic Congress. African Democratic Congress.
SP, check very well. I think it's APC. It's not ADC. AP. Check very well.
I've checked. My eyes are still good.
We have seen the reason you adduce is the basic reason that most of the people who have left PDP have adduced, and you like what the president is doing with APC, so you are welcome on board. I will list all the people who are doing the same, and then tomorrow at the end of the announcement, you will come and have a photograph with the presiding officer. You may now have your seat for now.
Now joining us for this discussion is a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Mazi Dixon Irebu. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
All right, within the space of 48 hours, massive defections announced on the House. Both the red chamber and the green chamber, no house was left untouched. What are your thoughts about this? Does it take you by surprise? Are you expecting more defections to be announced?
Thank you once again. Did it take me by surprise? No. Politicians will always do their business, which is politicking. And this is an election year. 2027 is just around the corner. So politicians who want to either contest or recontest for any position will look for platforms that they understand can possibly push them. Those who have left my party, the People's Democratic Party, well, it's unfortunate that someone would want to leave his house or her house because the roof is said to be leaking. If your house is if the roof of your house is leaking, the best thing to do is stay in there and fix it. You don't move to your neighbor's house. But this is our country where everybody is just all about self. And the interests of the collective is most of the time not considered. And then character, people lack character. People cannot uphold what they, say they believe in or what they stand for and all that. Personally, if I were to be the National Assembly and my party, as the situation is now, is faced with crisis, I would be doing everything possible to bring an enabling end that will make everyone consider rejigging our position and possibly putting the interest of the Nigerian people forward first. So those who are defecting, of course, you can see it has nothing to do with the interest of the people. It's about self, and I wish them well.
Will you have the same position? Mazi, would you have the same position if we saw these defections from other parties to the PDP?
Like I said, the defection of politicians, those who have found their possibility of actualizing their political aspirations on any platform, they will always want to do it. If it were to have come to PDP, will I go against it? I'm not particularly saying I'm against those who have moved to wherever they have moved to, but I, as a PDP member, I'm not excited that people are said to be leaving the party simply because challenges that we could have stayed in and fixed, are said to be the reason why they are leaving. If they had moved to my party, they will be welcomed, like they have been welcomed in these other platforms and all of that.
So that means it's safe to say that
there is nowhere in the Constitution where it is a crime that defection to any political party is a crime.
And I completely agree with you, but what I just wanted to point out was that it's safe to say that the PDP is not quite different from the other parties it criticizes, because if you're saying that it's because of political interest and not because of the people, the PDP is also pursuing political interest in that case and not the people.
No, when I say personal interest, it's the individuals involved. The party, the People's Democratic Party by its name, is about the people. And the constitution of our country is supreme. Freedom of association is there, and anybody who wants to join anywhere can join. And there's no need to beg the issue here. We didn't get it, and that is simply because of those fifth columnists in our midst who have helped shape what today is the narrative out there. They claim that PDP is faced with one crisis or the other. And of course, the ruling of the appellate court that left our party more like headless now. There's no leadership by the ruling of the appellate court, because he ruled clearly that he didn't recognize the Ibadan Convention and the leadership that came from the Ibadan Convention, and also upheld the suspension of those who are parading themselves today as a caretaker committee and all that. So the leadership, therefore, that is the Board of Trustees, have now activated the path of the Solomonic wisdom, which is that narrative between the two women that were dragging a particular child, and they came before King Solomon. And King Solomon, after seeing all the squabbles and all that, said, okay, why don't I just divide the child into two, and you take half and the other takes half. And the real mother then was identified by that particular move. So, like from our end, the baby PDP, we have watched over her. We are doing everything possible to ensure that the PDP survives and indeed is on the ballot. And that is why someone like me, I am open in support of the call by the Board of Trustees of our party to come for reconciliation, because the PDP should be on the ballot and must be on the ballot. Everything that we can do to ensure that the party is on the ballot, after all, politics is give and take. The only position that has caused all of this brouhaha in my party is the position that the Yenson Wike camp took, which is that they are going to stay inside the party and work for Tinubu. And we are saying, no, you have a right to work for whoever you want to work for, but not to compel all of us in the party to say no, that we shouldn't produce a presidential candidate because of who we support. And that's where the conflict is.
And that statement you made is a major question members of society are asking. that why would one man dictate for a party that is well known to be strong in politics? But do stay with us. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at certain aspects. If you say the lawmakers are moving for personal reasons, do they really have the right to move, looking at what's going on in the PDP? And then we'll also look at fielding a presidential candidate. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central on a Friday morning. Our conversation is focused on the political transfer, you could say, where you have the lawmakers moving from one political party to the other. Our guest is a PDP member, Mazi Dixon Oriabu, who joins us this morning. Before the break, I had mentioned that your political party, PDP, seems to be in a deeper crisis. I mean, you mentioned the Ibadan Convention and what the appeal court had said, upholding. And then again, there's this issue of party members not certain what will happen to them, especially with the electoral laws that has been amended. If they stay and remain in the PDP, they're not certain if they would get any opportunity to be voted for, as it were. So, don't you think that guarantees the reason why they are moving to another party so that they can actually still remain where they are in terms of the lawmakers in the House without having any fear? So that's the reason why they're moving, instead of saying it's a personal, for personal reasons.
Well, I have stated clearly that I don't begrudge any of them for making the move they've made. I, as a politician, I'm also aspiring, but I have said to myself, I'll stay in the People's Democratic Party to aspire, because indeed, I will stay back here and fight to fix this leaking roof. Just like we are citizens of our country, there are those who have japared away from our country. Now, if all of us japa, who will fix it? Who will fix Nigeria? And that's the case here. So yes, I understand they have an election to, a position to contest for as politicians, that they want to recontest for the position that they acquired and all that. But they showed that also that they lacked leadership. Most of them failed woefully. When the crisis was brewing and all of that, what did they do? Did they get together as stakeholders in the party to find, a common position that can possibly make us avert where we are today? But the lack of leadership, both from the lawmakers and our governors who defected and all of that, is what has gotten us here. But like I would always maintain, somebody has to, I won't be in my community and they say, person know their house. If PDP is my community, I have said to myself, I will be here to say, if there's any need to serve, to help salvage whatever situation that the party has found itself, that some of us are available. So I don't begrudge them. I wish them well, but I wish that it was about the people, because it's not just about 4 years to elapse. Their tenure is about to elapse. The 10th Assembly, as far as I'm concerned, is about the worst assembly that the Fourth Republic has witnessed, because every policy that has come from them, every law that has come from them, most of it is all about how to preserve themselves, the politicians, and nothing captured to favor the interests of the Nigerian people. For instance, if I were to be in the House of Reps at the time the president announced that subsidy is gone and the hardship inflicted on my people, I will engage and make propositions for certain things that can be, realigned for the interests of the Nigerian people. But these people didn't do that. While we were in the crisis of the hardship, they were living large, receiving huge allocations here and there and all that. So it's always been very disgusting seeing antecedents. For me, that's for me now, antecedents of the 10 assembly members, especially when all of them, most of them, if not all, anytime the president comes to present the budget, what do they sing? On their mandate they shall stand, or on his mandate they shall stand, or whatever it is that the song is. So for me, these state assembly members, if this were an environment where there would be free and fair election, most of them will not come back. For the fact that they didn't listen to the people, for instance, on the issue of the new Electoral Act, right?
Now, Mazi,
they didn't listen to the angles that the people were clamoring for. It's enough to sack almost all of them, if not all of them.
Thank you, Mazi. Fortunately, we're approaching the end of this program. But my final question to you, let's come back to today and the reality on ground following the nullification of the Ibadan Convention and the non-recognition of the other parties in that claiming leadership of the People's Democratic Party. You did speak to the wisdom of King Solomon before we went on that commercial break. So my question to you is, as we speak, as at this moment, how will the Solomonic wisdom be applied in a way that won't lead to the terminal decline of the People's Democratic Party? Are you going to the Supreme Court, or will the Board of Trustees and Elders apply wisdom and seek reconciliation in a way to save, the party?
For me, it's proper to listen to the elders who have come in. Most of them, in fact, I was at the Board of Trustees meeting where the likes of former Governor Jang was there, and so many of them, McCarthy and all of that. And I felt that nostalgic feeling that reminded us of the days of PDP, being the party that the Nigerian people embraced and that held sway for 16 years and all of that. I pushed the interests of the Nigerian people forward. I felt their pain. I felt their desire to watch this baby survive this crisis that it is faced with. So the aspect of Supreme Court, yeah, it's open. And do I support that part? Because there were conflicting positions that the appellate court judges, gave. For instance, you don't recognize the Ibadan Convention. And in one breath, you're also saying that an event that happened at the convention in Ibadan informed your position in taking decision as per a particular issue that affected the former national chairman, Ambassador Elia Damagu. All of those angles needs to be, clarified. And then, of course, we have seen the other camp gloating and claiming that they are the recognized leadership of the party, which is not true, because I was in court, and I don't know if our lawyers have gotten the CTC copy now, but I was in court and I heard clearly, in fact, that was the first judgment given, that the Ajibade SAN suspension by the end of Lisi should be, that it is well sustained, and therefore anything that they were getting themselves involved in after that suspension cannot stand, because like lawyers will say, you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. So right. These are angles that informed my support for what's it called, going to the Supreme Court to appeal the matter, and let us trash the matter once and for all, because that position of that leadership of a political party ought to be the internal affair of a political party, that the Supreme Court had already ruled. Let us see how that they are going to correct it and all of that, so that nobody will toe the line that that the Tinubu administration has told to destabilize political parties by using fifth columnists and elements to distract and disrupt the activities of a political party. All right. So, PDP, can we embrace reconciliation? I subscribe to it. Do we need to go the whole hog to ensure that at least jurisprudence of, in the political arena is expanded? Why not? Because it would improve our democracy. All right,
we'll just wait for the PDP to put his house in order. Whether it will be ready before 2027, we do not know. Yeah. But I think the first thing would be that it should put his house in order, and we'll see how things turn out eventually. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
That the likes of you, other Nigerians, want to see PDP survive and be on the ballot. And I want to also express that desire here. You'll be right that we don't, take this fight to the level where the PDP will not be captured on the ballot by the umpire. It will be very, very sad not to see PDP on the ballot. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right. We'll be bringing you our next conversation, which is about the young woman who was captured or who was harassed in Lagos after raising alarm about the state of scarcity of BRT buses. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, Ella joins us in the studio. A young woman in Lagos has raised alarm after alleging that she was harassed for speaking out about the scarcity of buses in the city's bus rapid transit system, popularly known as BRT. The woman had taken to social media to call out the Lagos state government over the non-availability of buses on the Lagos BRT corridors, saying many commuters were often stranded at terminals for hours. According to her, the situation took a troubling turn after she claimed she was confronted and threatened for voicing her frustration, a development that quickly sparked reactions online, with several Lagos residents sharing similar experiences and urging the authorities to urgently address the challenges affecting the state's mass transit system. In a related development, the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, has announced the addition of between 15 and 25 new buses to the BRT fleet to improve operations and ease transportation difficulties across the state. Coming shortly after the viral videos by this Nigerian content creator by the name Nwachukwu Onyinyechi, popularly known as Dark-Skinned Ella. Now, she drew widespread attention to this shortage of buses, and today she joins us in the studio. But before we speak with her, let's take a look at some of these videos that has gotten everyone talking.
I remember the first video I posted in the morning. The time is currently 5 p.m. Let me show you a bit of my situation.
She lied on me, but she lied there, trust me.
Good morning, guys. Today is Tuesday. Another day to show you a bit of my situation. Sorry. Excuse me.
All right, these are some of the videos that went viral that have sparked reactions from the government, from private citizens. Today we have joining us in the studio, Nwachukwu Onyinyechi, a content creator popularly known as Dark-Skinned Ella, joining us for the very first time. Hello. Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome to the show. Now, your videos, first of all, have sparked a change. And I think that more than anything else, it's shown the power of citizen journalism, that with just a mobile phone in your hand, you can cause a ripple effect. At the time when you started making these videos, did you have this end in sight?
Actually, I never had any, I never knew it would go far or any way like that. I just started because of the whole struggles I was passing through, you know, so I just kept going, kept believing that, okay, maybe one day my voice would be heard.
Right.
And when did you start and why did you decide to document your commute to work?
So I started when I came to Lagos after like finishing my university at Enugu. So when I came to Lagos, I know how Lagos is already. I know how Lagos is stressful. So the truth is that the day before I came to Lagos, I made a video about how scared I am coming back to Lagos like for good, because I already know what I would face. So when I came to Lagos, I started seeing a lot of struggles, and I love keeping memories. I love documenting everything going on in my life. I've always been that child. My mom always says it. So when I came to Lagos, I saw these struggles. I started filming, just, you know, posting with my 30 like just little like reactions and everything until I was growing. So that was how everything started.
All right, still speaking about, you know, how you started this. There have been criticism. I want to just deal with one of them and then we'll come to the applause. One of the criticism was that people said you had started posting videos about social anxiety first. Yeah. I mean, there was a particular tweet we saw in that regard. Someone said you started posting videos about beating social anxiety and that it then morphed into this. So some people believe that maybe this was some form of clout chasing for you. How do you react to those people or respond to them?
Actually, what I would say to those people is I would just ignore them because it was never cloud chasing. Everything started, okay, when I started filming, I noticed that I was not bold enough. I was not actually like, anytime I wanted to carry my phone to like film, I was always scared. So everything, I started like killing social anxiety like little by little. So I made that first post about killing social anxiety. Even in that video, I was actually very scared. And I told my followers then, I was like, I did it. I actually killed social anxiety. And from there, I kept going. I kept killing it, kept getting courageous. So,
what made you, you know, chase this situation using social media? Did you have in mind that social media is a platform that you could use to to pass the information. And how did you see social media helping out to solve the issue of not having enough buses to convey people from their home down to the workplace and then back home? Why did you choose social media?
Okay, first of all, I actually believe in social media. I've seen how social media has actually, helped people like voice out. I've seen cases. So even when I started, I actually did not know that it might go far. But I just had this little belief that, okay, maybe it would actually go far. So I believed in social media and I believed in people. We have bad Nigerians and good Nigerians. So I actually believe in good people that maybe would like support me in hearing my voice.
In hearing your voice and in the aspect of wanting them to hear your voice, just like Oliver said, I don't know if we do have that tweet. Someone actually said that you were chasing clout. You were clout chasing.
Yeah.
And now the story seems to have turned. The clout chaser has now spoken up and it has benefited over thousands of people who live within that community. How does that make you feel? Are you still a clout chaser? What message would you have for them?
It's just, when they say success is the best revenge. So that is actually how they would see it now. Because even when they called me that, because normally in life, when you keep going, there will surely be haters that would surely want to, bring you down. So even when I started like getting, recognition and maybe blogs posting, I was even surprised. My friends were all surprised, do you get? So I knew that hate comments would come in.
Right.
So when they called me cloud chaser, okay, I'm a cloud chaser.
Can I just even say...
that cannot stop me.
It cannot stop you. Can I even just say that I'm very proud of what you have done?
Thank you
and
very
how,
much.
regardless of what people call you, it doesn't matter. It has generated the change that you wanted. So I wanted to say well done.
Thank you
because
very
you
much.
are representative of a generation that will not keep their voice down, that will see that there's a problem and speak up for it. And I want us to now focus on some of the challenges that you encountered. In the course of filming, there was a video, and if we have that video, we're going to play it up, where the man had threatened you and when the woman had laid hands on you.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the days, what was going on in your mind? How much more harassment did you experience in the course of doing this?
So normally I've been making videos right from a few weeks back. But then this week, on Monday, I made a video. And after I made that video, it started going viral. Blogs started posting it. So maybe it got to our superiors. And then on Tuesday, the lady, she's a staff, she met me, and she's actually an acquaintance of mine.
Oh, you know her?
Yes, like we greet each other every morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're not strangers. So that's why I was not even like, rude to her or something. I respected her.
Are you talking about this woman here? The clip we just played?
Yeah, the lady that harassed me. Like
this one here?
Yes.
Okay, let's play the video and then we'll come back to speak some more about it.
Today, I will sit your phone. I'm not talking. I'm not talking, though. If you make any video today, I'm not talking. She said you use my phone. No. Ha. But why you holding my bag? Why you holding my bag? Why you holding my bag? Take your video. Take your video. What do you video? I will make my video. There's no boss and you don't want me to make video. Do the video. I'm going to get it.
So that was the video, Ella, and you were saying before we played that video that the woman is not a stranger to you.
Yeah. Every morning, we greet each other. Like, even when I started making... At first, it started like playful comments. You're making a video again, you're making a video. I said, yes, now. Do you get all these normal playful comments? I even have one of the old videos on my phone. So then that particular Tuesday, she met me. That was not... The harassment was actually on Wednesday. So on Tuesday when she met me, she told me that she saw my video again, that it's not going to be funny, I should stop. That was when I actually saw her serious face. And I was like, she said I will make her lose her job. I was like, lose your job because I'm speaking up. I cannot stop. Don't worry, you will not lose your job. That's what I told her, that I cannot stop. Then that Wednesday, I just, I was there. I was already preparing to like start my walking movement to like create the awareness. Then that was when she met me and said she's going to seize my phone. I should not make that video. If you notice, I started holding my phone little by little. Let her finish talking before I actually hold my phone up to continue my video. Then that was when she started dragging my phone and started harassing me. And the truth is that on Tuesday, we had a feeling, my sister, we had a feeling about something might actually happen. So my sister followed me. And when she followed me, she actually tried to, like, you know, stop, like, fight the lady. And I told her, don't fight her, please. Don't fight her. And I went on and I still made that video.
So let's talk about what has happened since that video, because like we've already established the fact that more buses have been put on that route. Lamata actually released a press statement, and so many things have happened. Could you walk us through the reactions and how the chain of events after that harassment event and how Lagos State senior government officials got in touch with you?
So that night, after that particular video started going viral about the harassment, it got to the high authorities. Lamata released a memo about how they will provide more buses. Meanwhile, I should blow out people's faces. So they said that in the memo. So that night, the commissioner for information called me, and he told me that I should just calm down for now. I should calm down for now, that they are going to provide more buses. And he told me, and it actually happened. They provided more buses. And that morning, when I saw more buses, because before then, the threat happened. The threats from the man happened, and it was looking too critical. So people, Mr. Ken actually raised a GoFund.
Who was that man in the first place?
The man?
Yes.
He's just,
Is it commuter or something? It's just also using
okay,
the
you
bus.
mean the man that threatened
for you?
The man that raised...
Is that the person you're asking for?
Yes, the man that...
Did you know him before that?
No, I don't. He just saw everything that happened, and then he supported me online.
So how would you say your career had the trajectory of
No,
asking
not Ken.
Asking
the man in the bus. There was another
the other man that threatened you,
yes.
I don't know him from other... Like, I don't know him. It happened before I entered the bus. When a bus finally came, all of a sudden, he came to meet me. Started, using, all these threats. By then, I wasn't even making video. I was just, on my queue. Because normally, I do just maybe 1 video or 2 videos. After making the awareness, I just keep standing for how long or whatever. Then the man met me and started pointing his hand, saying, if you try and do any video tomorrow, you will see what I will do to you.
And in all of this, did anybody speak up for you?
Nobody. Like, nobody.
Okay, all of this has happened, right? You've decided to put yourself out there for the benefit of a community, not just a community, extensively, the benefit of people. Now that we've seen Lamata step up, we're also going to have a representative from Lamata join us at 9 o'clock hour.
Okay.
How does this make you feel, knowing that your little push in terms of documenting what is wrong in a society has led to benefits of many? How does that make you feel? And did you come through that way? Have you passed there since that statement was made, if I may ask?
Yes, I passed there yesterday.
How did people look at you?
Oh, okay.
You passed there in an Uber?
In an Uber, actually, yesterday. But today, I'm actually going to post today because I also used an Uber today, but I went there live to show everybody that, I'm actually here live and their bosses. The people that would look at me and have entered bus already, or how their bosses, so there's no long queue for those people to see me. Do you understand?
And how did that make you feel?
It's at first yesterday when it happened that, I saw different posts. When I posted, different comments.
No, I mean the bosses, when you now saw...
I was so happy. And I saw people commenting that even in their area, they got buses. It made me so happy that it's so my voice was actually heard.
Your voice was heard, Ella. In 30 seconds, how would you say this has changed your career?
I don't know, actually, but I'm just hoping for better. But I believe right now I'm more seen to the public, so I'm just open for opportunities. Because before now, I've always been a content creator, a videographer, mobile videographer, and an influencer. So I'm just, even before now, before this whole documenting, I've always been that person. So I'm actually in for any opportunities that come my way.
Yeah. All right, how many followers were you before this happened?
I was, do you mean before this week?
Yeah, before this week.
I was in 29 or 28.
And where are you now?
I'm in 60 something.
Look at that. And I know that influence will keep growing, and I know that going forward, you'll be able to navigate your content in a way that speaks to you genuinely and also elevates you. And I just want to celebrate you. It's International Women's Month. Our theme is Give to Gain. You've given yourself, you've given your voice, and the public has gained as a result of this. So I celebrate you,
Thank
and
you
I'm
very
very, very
much.
proud of you.
Thank you
Well
very
done.
much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We will go on a break now, and when we come back, we'll be speaking still in the spirit of International Women's Month. Whilst we're celebrating one woman in the studio, there's another woman who's been excluded from the UN Women's Forum, talking about Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. We're talking about that when we come back from this break.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The Nigerian Senate was thrown into a rowdy session during plenary following the mass defection of 8 opposition lawmakers to the African Democratic Congress, ADC. The shift involves prominent members of the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, and the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, sparking an immediate constitutional standoff over the legality of their exit. Lawmakers engaged in a heated debate over the interpretation of Section 68, which mandates the vacation of seats for defectors whose parties face no internal division. News Central's National Assembly correspondent Sagir Ibrahim reports.
I'm not saying it is a violation. It's going to be based on what we investigate. Whether what Senator Akpoti did or has done is in violation of the Constitution, or what Ireti Kikebe did is in violation of the Constitution. But I want to call Mr. President that in order to find out whether Senator Akpoti has violated the Constitution, please allow Senator Victor Obi, who was a former chairman of APGA, to go and investigate. And they found that. And the founder of APGA, and report to your office. Then we take action. It says very clearly that provided there is a division, but there is nothing that says if you have been sacked. So you're no longer a member if you're sacked. And I have the evidence, I have the letters, and I have everything. That is for... You must belong to a political party to be in this Senate. ADP, there's no division in ADP. PAM has crossed over. They have only 2 offices in Abuja. ADP is here now. There's no division in his party. Which of them? And many people from Labour Party have moved over. Senator Zenwa, Senator Maswen, Senator Chubu. There's still division. There's still division. There was no division when you left. When you moved, there was no division. The Labour Party has been recognized. What so there's no more division. What of Abure? Your Excellency, there's no more division as far as I know in the Labour Party. To Supreme Court. I think just to close this matter, let us give Senator Baribe 1 week to produce evidence of his dismissal. So we will give you until our next sitting to reconsider or take a decision.
Drama upon drama. Well, let's move on now to another story and tell you very quickly that Nigeria's participation at the 70th session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women in New York City is drawing attention after the Nigerian Senate removed Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from the country's delegation to the Global Women's Forum. The event holding at the United Nations headquarters focuses on advancing gender equality and improving access to justice for women and girls. Let's also tell you that reports indicate that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was initially invited by the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and had submitted the required documents, but was later excluded from the final list of delegates. She was subsequently replaced by Ondo Central Senator, Mr. Adeniyi Adegbomire. The development has sparked questions over Nigeria's representation at the International Forum, particularly as discussions at the event center on women's, not men, women's rights and political inclusion. But let's talk about this now, as we do have joining us Executive Director, Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue Foundation, Chiamaka Okafor-Onuma, joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here, Chiamaka, and this would make a very interesting conversation. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. At a forum designed to amplify the voices of women, Nigeria decided to go silent on one of its few female senators. What does this say about our political culture and the influence it has in ensuring that stages like these are actually respected and also dedicated for what it was meant for?
Good morning again. Thank you for having me. I'd like to start by saying that what we're seeing is a classic case of symbolic annihilation and hegemonic masculinity. And this sounds like big grammar, but what it simply means is that people are excluded from certain forums or certain gatherings just to diminish their voice. And this starts with cases of omission, trivializing, and what we're seeing going on currently. And also, when I talk about, or when I say hegemonic masculinity, just the scenario where men dominate, so trying to keep every other person in a subordination role, like we're seeing today. But back to your question on what this means for Nigeria internationally, it shows that we're out of touch, really. It's International Women's Month. It's CSW, is a forum for women and girls. How do you explain that you exclude a female senator to include a male one? What does that say? And it's even more interesting that the senator that was included, Senator Adeniyi, is the House, the committee chair on human rights, legal, and the other portfolio. So I'm going to speak to the human rights aspect of his portfolio to say that he should, better than anyone, know that this is a gross violation of human rights or of women's rights, because this is a forum where women's voice are heard and is mainstreamed, and then you send a man there. He should also know that for forums like this, descriptive representation is more important than anything else. And when we say descriptive representation, it's where people who look like the group are the ones representing them. So women's issues are not bullet points that anyone can just read from a script. It requires experience, it requires lived experiences. So how does a Senator Adeniyi go to CSW to speak on women's issues? What background, what experience, what portfolio, what expertise in code does he have to be representing women and their voices on such platforms? Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, for asking that question. And I think it's imperative that we have this conversation, especially because it's International Women's Month. And one of the things that we've talked about is the representation of women. You look at, even Senator Natasha is one of just 4 women, in the red chambers, which is really, really poor. 35% affirmative action has been a conversation for the longest time. But where would you say we are in terms of, inclusion of women in politics, and how ready are we as a country? Have we shown readiness to increase the participation of women in politics?
In terms of where we are, the most recent report from the IP Interparliamentary Union as of January 2026 shows that Nigeria is ranking 177 out of 182 for women in parliament. And this representation of what our politics looks like. 177, if you were to be a young child in school and then you're coming 177 out of 182, you bring that result back home, what exactly will your parents say to you? What will be their disposition? So that tells us what this means in the grand scheme of things as per our readiness for inclusion. And it's interesting that the theme for this year is rights, justice, action, and also for CSW, a similar theme as well, and ensuring that women have access to justice. And access to justice includes that making sure that their right to vote and be voted for, political inclusion, participation, everything that CEDAW, that we signed up to represent is, due them, given to them, or, they are allowed to participate fully. And this shows that as a people, we are not ready to let our women be. And I use let in a very critical sense, not that we need permission to do this, but also realizing that women are co-developers, co-habitors. We are partners in the process of development and democracy as a people, and so sidelining and reducing the voices of women becomes ridiculous. And just like you said, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is just one of the 4 women who are in the Senate. And we don't want to go into the whole conversation as mentioned by Senator Kingiwe that the other 2 women said they were not interested in the conference or attended the conference. That's a different ballgame altogether. What does that mean? I mean, what does that mean for their representation? What exactly are they doing in the Senate? But that's a different conversation altogether, I believe. Now, back to our readiness to include women. It's a paper policy. That's the best way to put it. You know, we have gender policies, 35% affirmative action, which has been there since 2006, I guess, in gender, if I'm not mistaken, in gender policy. And as of 2022, there was a court case which was won, by the way, and asking the government to implement the 35% affirmative action. But since then until now, that hasn't been done. So it shows us that even the policies we have as a people, the government policies, governments are unable to abide by their own policies. So it shows that the conversation for inclusion is just, a politically correct conversation we're having. We're having it because it's trending. It's beautiful to have such conversation and say, oh, we also want to mainstream women's rights and include women in the conversation we're having. But in the reality, it's just a paper policy. We're not interested. We're not interested in doing anything about it.
Now, Chairman, I'm glad you mentioned the affirmative action, because the way things are at the moment, it will take a long time to achieve any sort of gender parity when it comes to politics in Nigeria. Do you think the 35% affirmative action suggestion should be enforced and implemented? And why is it important, if you agree with the spirit behind the affirmative action?
So to move our inclusion from a performative view to make it actually inclusion, not the performative one, that 5% affirmative action is very important. Given that we have a deeply patriarchal system that, consciously and unconsciously seeks to exclude women. So the exclusion we're seeing is systemic. So if we want to address it, it has to be from the system. And so when we say 35% affirmative action, which mandates, governments and its agencies to give at least, it doesn't say at most, at least 35% of the makeup of the government should be women, then it starts to address the issue of inclusion from the root. And when government begins to obey and abide by such policies, its own policies, it's not imposed on them by any other person, it starts to, create the impression that we want to do this and it is possible to do this. When women start to come into government by reason of this policy or a law, it shows that, we start to feel a part of the whole. But when we're sidelined, we're only good for campaigns, women leader, XYZ, there's something it does to our psyche. We don't feel that we should aspire to these positions. Why is it important? It's important because a democracy is not complete when you exclude about 50% of that democracy, of the population that makes up that democracy. So it's very important that it is implemented. And it's interesting that, despite the court order and, this is 4 years now since that order was given, nothing is happening. And amidst several promises, even from this government, women are still not seen. There are only, I think, 3 women, if I'm not mistaken, who are cabinet ministers in this government out of about 35 or so. What does that say to us about government's willingness to adhere to its own policy? And I keep, I'm very particular about its own policy because it's a government policy. It's not a CSO policy or a policy that someone just brought and say, oh, I think you should adapt this or adapt this. It's a government policy made by the government. But because, of course, we are very used to performative policies, paper policies that don't end up getting implemented or executed. This is where we are today. So in a nutshell, it's very important that the 35% affirmative action is implemented so that we have a very wholesome democracy that includes everybody. And then we can start to think of ourselves as a nation because everyone is included in the development of our country, Nigeria.
I also want to talk about the role that we as women also have to play. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is not the only female senator. There's 4 of them. Initially there was a reaction from Senator Ireti Kingigbe, and many have expressed disappointment in how the other women in the House may or may not have rallied behind her. From your analysis so far, are you satisfied with the way in which the other senators, as well as female leaders and female activists, have spoken up or not about this?
So we'll start with the female senators because they are, for want of a better word, Senator Natasha's primary constituency. They are with her at the Senate and they see what's happening. If there's anyone to better support her, it will be them. But what we're seeing is a case of patriarchal bargaining. So this is when women or people in the supposed minority group have to pander to what the men want so that they are allowed to exist. So in a political situation as this, in a political situation as this, we see that the female senators are not saying anything. They rather be, silent so that they are allowed to continue to occupy that position, albeit ceremonially. I'm looking for the best adjective to use to describe what English is failing me now. That's what we're seeing with the female senators. Of course, CSOs, female women activists can only do so much, support, raise their voices in support, flag that this is an anomaly. Why would you have a man representing women at the conference? And I keep asking, what exactly is he going to say? I mean, just a few days ago, it was IWD, International Women's Day, and all the flowery things and rosy things we had to say about women. And then an opportunity comes to action, and action is missing. And then there's the excuse of late submission, using technicalities to exclude gender gatekeeping and political gatekeeping is very interesting. For me, I think that the people whose voice should be the loudest are missing in the room, and they are the female senators. But again, that brings into question what kind of people are we sending as representatives? It's important that while we are campaigning, advocating that women's voice be mainstream, we also are very particular about the capacity of women we have represent us as our voices.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us and speaking to this current issue. And we look forward to have you again join us for maybe a different one next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, away from that, earlier on we had a very interesting conversation concerning speaking up, especially when you have issues that bothers your mind, your heart, and better still, your livelihood. And that's exactly what we did earlier on with our guest who spoke about the bus and transport system, how tough it was commuting back and forth to and fro from home to work. But right now, let's tell you very quickly that following the viral video that actually got a lot of persons talking on the Ikorodu Road, residents actually raising concerns not just about the shortage, but also the response that came from Lamata. The management of the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, says that it is willing to offer a right of reply, which they've done right there on the screen, particularly on claims of mismanagement of the transport system. Well, this morning, we do have our correspondent, Victor Mbadike, who is at the Lamata office, and he'll be speaking with some of the representatives at Lamata. Good morning to you, Victor. It's quite sunny, I can tell, but where are you, especially in Lamata, and who are we looking to speak with this morning?
I'm currently at the Lamata place, the headquarters of the Lagos Metropolitan Transport Agency, basically. And I'm currently, of course, with the head of Corporate Communications, Kolawole Ojalabi, who speaks for the body that controls and regulates the BRT that has been the subject of debate for in the last few days now. Do not forget that, so we don't have to beat, overflog the issue. The bottom line is residents, particularly in Ikorodu and some other parts of Lagos, complaining that they spend, a longer time on the queues before they get buses to go to their respective places. Do not forget that one of the major essence of the BRT initiative in the first place is that it's going to ease transportation and make the lives of Lagosians a little stressless and not stressful. But, in recent times, the essence, that essence is not really there any longer. And so they're asking questions, what exactly is going on? And that was what probably led Onyinyechi to do those videos you saw her do in the last few days, to say that we've been spending hours, but there are no buses. Anyway, we have Mr. Ojalabi Kolawole, who is there with me, so you want to come on a short. So, because it is important that we give him a right of reply, we give the agency a right of reply, so they can tell us exactly what the issues are. Good morning, Mr. Ojalabi.
Good morning.
Like they say, if you are a Christian, in the Holy Book, they say that shall grace continue their bound. That, should we continue to pay or to suffer for perhaps the inadequacies that the residents suffer today in terms of no transportation for them to get to their offices as at when they need it? What exactly are the issues?
Okay, let me just put it straight like this. Lamata is a transport planning, implementing, regulating and franchising agency of the Lagos State government. And so Lamata is not a bus operating company, but we have quite a number of operating companies that have been franchised to carry out operations. But we should also not forget that there are limited buses. And so buses are allocated to routes based on availability. Now, the route in question, Elepe, right, it's outside of Ikorodu, but we also know that there are a lot of people living from there to go to Oshodi, to go to Island. And so that's why some buses will also deploy to that place. And we also have found out that most of the people using buses around these areas are traders. They are market men and market women. Those of them who wear tie like me will probably be coming out at about 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock. So by that time, the first set of buses will have taken passengers to either to Island or to Oshodi. And so before the bus will make a turn around to go back to Elepe, definitely you are going to have people waiting for those buses because you don't have so many buses that are located to that route. And so this is the case with what happened at Elepe. And when you look at traveling from Elepe to Lagos Island, I think it's less than 1,200. But if we use other unregulated buses, from Elepe alone to Ikorodu, it's 800 naira. And so you can now imagine how much you pay from Ikorodu all the way to Lagos Island. So that is why the BRT buses become very, very useful to those who are using it. I would say that the incident is very, very unfortunate, but I also believe that both parties have learned useful lessons, and from there, we can take off.
So you are saying basically that the number of buses that we have at the moment is not commensurate with the number of commuters that we find in the queues on our BRT terminals on a daily basis, which means that the commuters have to suffer for this basically. So how do we solve these problems? Because some of these guys spend so many hours in the sun, and there's no communication from responsible agencies to say we're sorry this is going on, because when the BRT initially began, it wasn't like this. So there's been a sharp decline. Is this correct?
Okay, I will say that I've said from the very beginning, even in the statement that we issued, that we don't have enough buses, and that's the truth. And what government is doing is to invest in infrastructure, transport infrastructure that will meet the needs of the people. And so it is now for the private sector to come into that space and fill the gap. Now, we are talking to a number of people. Currently at the House of Assembly, there's someone who wants to bring in 2,000 buses. So we are seeking legislative approval for those buses to come in. I will also tell you that currently we are talking to some people. If you look into this yard just behind us, there are also some new EV buses. What we are just trying to do is to ensure that their charging dock is installed. So those buses are painted. I can show you. They are painted to be deployed into operation. As an agency, we are making all efforts to ensure that we get the private sector to bring in buses. I'm not going to mention the name of any company, but we also know that over the last 2-3 years, we have been doing a proof of concept on the use of high-capacity electricity buses with one of the major clean energy company in Nigeria. And by the end of this year, they are also planning to bring in additional buses. So, well, we know that the buses are not enough out there, but we believe that with all that we have done, at the end of the year, we will have substantial number of buses that will be there in public space for people to use to go to where they want to go. And I will also say that there's no city in the world where you will have enough buses. In the city of London, for instance, they require about 14,000 buses. But those ones have gone high. They even have up to 9,000 buses. And every year, there must be price increase so that they can take care of inflation, they can take care of the repair of the buses, and the operators will also be able to provide more services to the people in that city. So the same thing that we're trying to do here to ensure that we have enough buses on the road so that the people will not suffer, like you said. Of course, I also have siblings who use this system. So they also complain to me. But the fact is that we are working to ensure that we get more buses on the road.
All right, Mr. Lodge, I know we don't have more time, but before I go, the BRT has a dedicated lane to beat traffic, to beat time, for people to get to their destinations on time. But I don't know if you can answer questions, regarding the fact that that does not seem to be happening any longer because the BRT lane now seems to be a public lane now. So, for instance, the BRT is on its lane, is competing with other vehicles. And that, of course, slows down time. So there's basically not much difference these days between the BRT and the conventional vehicles on the roads. Are these not issues for your agency?
Well, it's an issue for our agency. You also remember that in the past, some of our governors, they have actually stopped people using the BRT lane illegally. There's a regulation guiding the use of the BRT lane. A regulation that to say that you cannot use the BRT lane except in emergency cases. And those emergency cases we're talking about ambulances or fire trucks. But you also see, and I'm sorry to say, it's our uniformed men that are most guilty of this offense. They use the BRT lane, and when they are challenged, the next thing is that they beat off people. So, as members of the public, we should also go into this advocacy to stop military guys from using the BRT lane. Then we should also stop the yellow buses from using the BRT lane. We have an enforcement that's under the leadership of the SA Transportation. They're supposed to be ensuring that we keep the sanctity of the BRT lane. But the fact remains that people still go on the BRT lane and use it. So we only appeal to the members of the public, particularly our uniformed men, to keep the sanctity of the BRT lane. The barracks is a restricted area. So the BRT lane is also a restricted area. So please, let us respect the BRT lane and not use it, illegally.
All right, thank you so much. But in a few seconds before I let you go, what's your last message for Lagos residents, particularly those who are grieved over the unavailability of buses, or, like you said, not enough buses, because they have to suffer for it eventually? What next from here?
Well, let me say that we feel with them, because I also use the BRT lane once in a while. The BRT buses once in a while, not the lane. I use the BRT buses once in a while. And I also know that there are a lot of challenges that people go through boarding the BRT. But let me say that as an agency, we are not resting on our oars. We are ensuring that we have robust discussion with the private sector so that they can bring in additional buses. And like I said, we have, towards the end of the year, there will some of them will soon be coming in. To tell you the truth, some of them will be, but by the end of the year, we should have enough buses to be able to cater to the needs of the teeming masses. In Lagos, there are more than 20 trips that we have in a day, and about 40% of those trips are by walking. But the other ones is shared between BRT, other buses, and vehicles on the road. So we are a responsible organization, and we are working to ensure that we're able to meet the needs of the people. As I told you earlier, we have a quality policy. Our quality policy is for us to determine the needs of the people and meet them, and that's what we are trying to do as an organization.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Kolawole Ojalabi. It's good to have you join us live on News Central this morning, and have a beautiful day. Oh, well, Joe and guys, you did hear from the head of corporate communications, Kolawole Ojalabi. Whether or not his statement or comments hold water will remain to be seen. We just hope in the coming days, all of the promises, all of the initiatives that is about to come in place to ease transportation for Lagos residents, we hope that that actually comes to fruition. But we do hope again that, I mean, he's explained himself that there are not enough buses in Lagos as we speak. So if you are going to wherever you're going to, plan your time appropriately. So just maybe for now, you get to your terminals as early as possible and to get the first flight to your wherever you're going to. Otherwise, you're risking of spending longer hours. So no mincing of words. He's clearly said it. There are not enough buses, and we do hope the state government will really do something for a state that has at least 20 million population. I mean, that's a long way to go, Johansson.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Victor, for your report and doing the great job you do in the sunshine while people like Oliver and Joe are in air-conditioned studios. We do appreciate your work and sacrifice. Thank you.
I wonder if you're in the same studio with us, or maybe you're outside. I don't know. Is this your shadow, or is it?
Sometimes I do go out. I remember the last time I was out with Victor while you guys were in the studios.
All right. Okay. No problem. Yeah. Anyway, Umaru Kirawa is our correspondent as well. He's been situated in Borno State, where he's covering the current situation concerning insecurity. If you are aware, the service chiefs, I'm talking about the security service chiefs, did meet with the president just fortnight, and they had a detailed conversation. The chief of army staff had come out in public after the meeting with the president and mentioned that they came to present the details of every single thing they planned out to handle the insecurity that's bedeviling Borno State and other states that are currently faced with that challenge. But then again, our correspondent Umaru Kirawa joins us just now this morning. Umaru, good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. We can see there's peace and quiet where you are. We also saw footages, better still, images rather, and videos of army officials, army security operatives, named them yesterday in Borno State. They came to check what the situation looks like. Can you bring us up to speed what went down, what happened, and then what the update simply is?
Last Friday, if you could recall, we were in Pulka town with the governor of Borno State in Pulka to sympathize with victims of or survivors of the attack in Goshe community where they were dislodged and they were displaced by terrorists that stormed the community, and even the terrorists vowed to perform it in the community. In fact, they were inside the mosque and they promised to perform Eid prayers in the community. So after intense or heavy fighting with the military were able to take over the community, and they are in firm control of the community. We were in the community yesterday, and the community is largely peaceful now, but basically people are not yet back, but the military are in firm control of Goshe community that was affected by the insurgents. And of course, even today, the terrorists tried to infiltrate into Banki town, one of the communities in Bama local government area. But the joint operation of the armed forces, the military and air component of the operation, Hadinkai, they were able to repel the attack, and then the terrorists have to run for their lives.
All right. Okay.
Umar, what's the latest? I mean, coming from the headquarters of Operation Hadinkai, and has there been any reports around parts of Borno State of insurgency attacks by these terrorists and bandits? And also, is there any feedback from the meeting at the presidential villa with the service chiefs?
Yes. The theater commander who is leading the operation in the northeast has made it clear that deployments are coming. In fact, some deployments have already arrived Maiduguri, and he has made some deployment to the frontline troops, and so many equipment were deployed to the troops. But largely the update is that the military forces are in firm control of the communities that the terrorists claim to want to perform it in the community. The military are in firm control, and we hope to see more of technology in coming days, aftermath of the meeting of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with the Minister of Defense and, of course, service chiefs, which the theater commander made it clear that they have already started seeing deployment of improved equipment and other armament to ensure that terrorists do not dislodge or do not attack communities again.
Now, I just wanted to confirm what you said, because I think it was earlier this week when we spoke to you, you did highlight, and you were there last week with the governor in Ngoshe town, where these terrorists were bragging about holding Eid prayers in the town and asked the residents to vacate. Just to confirm, are you saying that there are troops there and they will be stationed there for the foreseeable future so as to protect the lives of the people that live in Ngoshe town?
Yes, like I've said, troops are already on ground. There are so many troops there. And the governor, both the military and the government are looking into the possibilities of rebuilding the community, because they have gone down so many infrastructure, schools, homes, business, shops, and so many other infrastructure were destroyed. So largely, the aftermath of the president with the Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, and of course the service chiefs, we hope to see an improved security situation whereby the armed forces do not only stay along in their area of operation, but they take this fight to the terrorist enclaves. Because intelligence information has it that they are aware of the location of these terrorists, and there is no time to waste in terms of reaching out to the terrorists. So an ongoing rescue operation is still ongoing, because about 300 families were abducted. So I think the military are working towards rescuing these families. But largely people are saying that the military and other armed forces should take this fight to the enclaves of the terrorists, the mountainous Mandara Mountain, the Sambisa Forest, the Timbuktu Triangle, among other hideouts of the terrorists, that the armed forces should take this fight and let's win this fight once and for all. But largely, it's commendable, the efforts of the frontline troops and the level of resilience that we saw on their faces.
All right, I think on a final note, Mark Kirawa, what is the mood like? What is do you get a sense of, is it peace? Is it a sense of fear? What is the mood like in Borno State? And is there still a firm belief in the work that the governor of the state is doing?
Well, the security situation is calm, but it's highly unpredictable because of the unfortunate resurgence of the attacks. But largely, we are seeing improvement because the military forces are now repelling the attacks, and the terrorists are no longer taking communities by surprise. And it's also good to know that not only in Borno State, in Yobe State, the military were able to deal with, kill 20 terrorists, and so many equipment were recovered. So the security situation is calm, but it's largely unpredictable, and it's abnormal, but it's something that has already become part and parcel of the people of the state, and everybody is going about its normal day-to-day activities, but the security situation is something of worry to the president.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Omar Kirawa. I can imagine what it feels like to be in Borno State at this moment, and that's, that sense of uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen next, and our hearts really go out to the citizens there. We do hope that this is settled and decisively dealt with once and for all. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right, we're going to break. When we come back from this break, we'll be reviewing the front pages of the newspapers. Please stay with us.
The front pages of the newspapers is up next. It's time for you to be part of it. The phone lines or number will be put there on the screen for you to see, so you can start dialing. We do have our in-house analyst, of course. You can call him researcher extraordinaire. You can call him editor extraordinaire.
Writer and poet.
Oui. C'est très bien. Bienvenue, Abdulatif. Ahmed, how are you?
It's great to see you.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right.
You don't look like you've been writing about the Straits of Hormuz.
I don't know what Strait of Hormuz has gone to win.
Are you on the Strait of Hormuz this morning? I don't really get what's going on.
Good to have you join us. We have limited time, so it's best to
let's
get
just go straight in. Let's pick up the Guardian quickly.
Yes.
Let's start off there very quickly. The Guardian is the very first newspaper we're going to go to, and then we'll go straight to what we'd like for you to look into.
This is dangerous.
This big one, the picture there, how fatigue, poor accountability make medical mistakes routine. But let's leave that. I want us to focus on the big one. Court bars Aiyedatiwa from seeking another term in 2028. Nigerians are divided with this. Politicians are saying this is clear evidence, while Goodluck Ebele, Jonathan Azikiwe, former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, cannot come back to run again because the court has made it clear in the case of Aiyedatiwa.
Yeah, so this injunction just tells you that clearly there is a provision that makes us see tickets of a governor and his deputy as a joint ticket. Meaning, if something happens, it's like a relay. If something happens to one while the relay is on, the other person takes on. Now, the assumption is that if, say, you have spent 4 years as deputy governor, it is assumed that you are almost in the position of the governor. Then, if by the time you haven't contested yet, you get into the second tenure, and then the governor dies for any reason, you continue and you complete that tenure. You are allowed to contest once. If you do not do that, what will follow will be that you must have spent 8 years in power as deputy governor, and then spend another 8 years in power as governor. That would seem to be inordinate, unnecessary for one person to stay in that saddle. So I think it's fair. It may look like you stopping people from accessing public office, but you don't have to be governor all through your life. You can contest for other positions. And I'm very sure Aiyedatiwa himself may be considering contesting into the retirement home of most governors.
Are you trying to say the Senate?
Yeah, I mean, you all know that. So the Senate.
Okay.
All right. Still looking on, let's still put back the front page of the Guardian newspaper. ADC criticizes Tinubu over democracy is a game comment. Defections, 9 senators, 12 reps, dump parties. That's a story that we'll take. Nigeria loses 50% of food to waste as stakeholders urge large-scale farming. Middle East crisis. We're monitoring prices to protect Nigerians. Federal government declares. Maybe we should even start with that. Does it give off they are really protecting Nigerians? They're saying they're monitoring prices to protect Nigerians. I don't understand.
You may monitor prices, but it is not as effective as being proactive. Food security is something that we should have taken very seriously in this country. A lot of times we expect that most of our agricultural produce should come from the north down to the south. But seeing as southern Nigeria is the most arable of the lands we have in this country, I would assume that governors in the south or leaders in the south will have thought of ways to to cushion the tendency of insecurity in the north affecting food supply to the south. So you have states, for example, taking up ranching, for example, say Ogun State, ranching cows for the whole of Southwest, or Ekiti State, you know, having a lot of yams.
Or Lagos and Kebbi State collaboration with Lake Rice.
Exactly. Yes. So these things should not be when we have international crises now affecting us, because anything can happen. So I should expect that at the level of state or region, Southeast could concentrate on something, so that you do not have to always rely on...
And also the issue we spoke about before, Olive mentioned, post-harvest loss, 50%.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. I think by now, because for the past 40 years, this issue has been the same. Post-harvest losses, you know, taking about...
And we have a Minister of Agriculture.
Unfortunately.
Just like we have a Minister of Power. Somebody say power.
Power. Okay, let's quickly touch the Daily Trust. Speaking about power. Power outage may worsen as gas supply drops. That's the big story on the front.
Depressing.
He's mainly telling us, say, una go really sleep for what? For darkness.
Yeah, but it's not even just about the drop in gas supply. It is the fact that the Gencos are being owed monies between...
billions.
Yeah, you know.
3.3 trillion naira.
Wow.
So you do not expect them to be Father Christmases that will keep giving us power while we're still owed.
So, I mean, on the surface of this, I mean, this looks like pedestrian issues, problems, system problems, or if somebody was doing their job, it should have been nipped in the bud in the beginning. Because why all this, every day you come to work, it's commonsensical problems that could have been fixed. 30-year-old problems, 40-year-old problems. I mean, it's a mess.
I think...
So on what grounds do politicians even come out and seek for re-election?
It is because we are not holding them by the neck. Most times we just keep clapping for them. You see someone who has failed, you know, coming back to seek re-election, coming back to tell you trash about life and policies and politics. And you keep, you know, applauding because you make him think that he's doing a work of genius. But if you tell him to his face at every opportunity he comes to address you about education, you remind him of the fact that you have not provided us with power. You see him in the church or in the mosque, you remind him that you have not provided us with power. He will sit up because essentially he cannot engage without solving the, you know, the elephant.
He or she will.
He or she, I mean,
yeah,
sometimes we have females.
I think our problems are only caused by men.
Does not give us power. The president said, if I don't give you power, don't vote for me in the next election.
He said that, yes. And I will assume that he has handed the opposition the, you know, the key. Yeah, you get. Because imagine if that statement is translated into the major Nigerian languages and then it's been broadcasted on radio back to back. I mean, that is a statement.
Yeah, he spoke with a lot of confidence. There, not knowing that 4 years is a very short time.
The problem is, you know, there's a lot in the system, but I'm assuming that someday somebody will look at the problem of power and say, how do we make money? So how do we make money while providing solutions to Nigerians? So see the way Dangote solved the, you know, intractable fuel problem. Somebody will look at the power sector and say, you know what? I'm going to cash in.
So you don't think it can be fixed? Because Mr. President made a bold promise.
Well,
and elections are in January.
Yeah, he should fix it. But if up till now he's unable to fix it, it tells you that beyond him, any other person will come to tell us they will do the same thing. I do not believe.
I mean, Shagari said so 40 years ago.
Yeah,
more than 40.
Even Fashola
so we should. Yeah, exactly. And we had a lot of hope.
Yeah,
in the way he, you know, he marshaled out his point, saying he was going to do this, and do that. It wasn't solved. So whoever is going to solve this problem should look at how to make money. I'm particular about that because you see, sometimes money is the incentive. You tell somebody.
No, I'm sure A and B and C and D was making money.
Yes, exactly. But there is always you always have people who are economic saboteurs. They mess up something that looks viable.
Is that what you think happened?
But can they be bigger than the states? They can't be bigger than the states.
I think it's part of it. There's a willingness to solve this problem, but there are people who will never allow these problems to be solved.
But shouldn't states be focused on how states cannot generate their own electricity?
Exactly. But if you want,
maybe they should decentralize.
If you want states to generate electricity, declare that there's no more subsidy in power generation by stopping the importation of generators. A lot of businesses will suffer almost immediately. Hold on.
Hold on.
That's throwing away the baby at the bathwater.
Yeah, hold on. The fact that we do not have generators in the country will mean that somebody is going to apply his mind, his brain, his sense, his spirit
and make
to
it
give
work
us
by force.
power. It means that the guys in the state houses of assembly, the governor, the president will be sweating because
No,
there
that,
is
that
no.
will not be
there-
fair.
yeah, hold on,
You know why
because there'll be no power. How do you mean?
Aso Rock is now under solar power. So
I agree, but
all of us will go and charge our phone.
Hold on, I agree, but other states are not under solar power. So somebody must solve the big question by saying that all of this thing is oxygen to us. We cannot survive without stable power. I mean, you cannot even regenerate the economy without stable power. So we should be able to hold our leaders accountable for not providing with
But
us
the
with
minister
power.
came out and said 3 things. One thing in 3. 1, he said, be patient. 2, he said, have a
more
little
patient.
faith. It was much more like he was singing a popular song, have a little faith in me, have a little faith. And thirdly, he said the president has agreed to support the power sector. Those 3 things.
But all of these do not amount to strategy. They're just, you cannot, hope is not strategy. You get, prayer is not strategy.
Patience is not
Patience is not strategy. So how do you solve intractable power problem? You have to tell us in practical terms. We want to solve this problem. This is the timeline, 12 months, 13 months. This is what we are doing in this, so that we can see.
And the minister is even distracted. He's nursing gubernatorial ambitions.
So most of the times, that's why they do not succeed, because their mind is on something else. We are deeply invested in.
These have real-life implications on businesses. And
Absolutely.
lives of people have been lost.
People are in the
because
hospitals.
Of no
they rely
electricity.
on stable power. The fact that you're not doing this, the fact that you're not doing this means that you have access to medical, solutions outside.
So many years ago, I lost a friend in a fire. Candle.
Sorry about that.
He suffocated to death because of the fumes
from the
because there was no light.
I want us to take this story before we run out, of time, but still on the front page of the newspapers, Vanguard this time. Tinubu to politicians, bow to rule of law on Electoral Act. And I think that it was very important. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in addressing IPAC, he said, I signed the Electoral Act. I have no choice. I don't want to throw the country into turmoil of arguments. There's an overwhelming majority by the National Assembly that passed the law. If I have serious question or reservation about it, I would have raised it. But I have none. I submitted myself to the principle of rule of law, democracy. I signed. The rest is history. We'll meet at the polls, he stated flatly. Now, this, again, and I think that this story was important to talk about, especially because we're looking at certain new introductions into election reforms, right? 1, they want to criminalize being a member of 2 political parties. 2, they're removing the section that provides that if you bring a forged certificate, that you will not be disqualified. So you can't basically bring up a case for disqualification if forged certificate is one of your excuses. But let me get your general reactions to that.
So I think that is the most problematic part, the fact that forged certificates will not disqualify a candidate after he's won or ahead of winning the elections. We should take these things very seriously. Anybody who is able to forge certificates will be able to change hundreds to 1,000. Will be able to falsify documents, will be able to attempt to beat the system, because that in itself shows dishonesty. And you cannot have dishonest people in the saddle and expect them to do anything meaningful for the masses. So that is the problematic part. And then the fact that this happened also shows that we have a weak opposition. And every time elections, we're running for national elections, we focus on who becomes the president, forgetting the fact that we have a system where there has to be checks and balances. The Speaker and the Senate President is almost as important as the President, because if somebody is not wearing the thinking cap, the other one will wear the thinking cap. If somebody is thinking to the left, the other person must think to the right. Not because they hate themselves, but because we must be able to interrogate issues from, multiple perspectives.
Are you sure it's thinking cap you mean, or infinity cap?
Well, not infinity cap.
I don't know if you saw the video of the campaign where he was saying, oh, APC, give them a round of applause. While the Speaker of the House was announcing the people that were moving to the All Progressives Congress.
I see.
And he was telling them to applaud.
I didn't see that, but I mean, it's obvious that they want more people to their side. But beyond that, if we continue to get things like this, that is almost at variance with the popular, wishes of the masses, what it tells you is that we are relinquishing our civic rights, to people to decide for us. If you are choosing the president, you're also choosing the senator representing your, senatorial district. You're also choosing the parliamentarian, so that when it is time for you to argue issues and they cannot hear your voice directly, they can hear your voice through your true representatives. But if you do not take part in these elections and you say, well, anything goes, it means that at the end of the day, whatever decision they take on behalf of us sticks, because you cannot form another parliament outside the Senate and the House of Rep. So we have to work around that and see how we can be more involved in the process and the outcome.
Very interesting. Well, we have to draw the curtains here today. That's all we're going to take on Breakfast Central. Mr. Abdul Latif, Ahmed, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Don't forget Breakfast Extra will start tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Join Mazino Appeal and the team. They'll be here to bring to you the latest stories. And Jasiri is up next. By the way, it's been a fantastic week. Let's hope that we'll see power. Somebody say power.
Power. And Oliver Modi, happy International Women's Week to you.
Thank you very much. You must continue to wish me all through the month. Thank you so much. We'll see you again. Thank you to our virtual audience, those who've joined us via YouTube. Thank you for your comments and your participation. Our virtual guests and our physical guests as well.
And also thank you, Maurice Moyo, for that wonderful comment to Johansson.
What's the comment
On
about?
his behalf, I say thank you.
What's the comment?
He's commending him for his look. He looks really handsome.
Oh.
Thank you.